Here at the Isla Gilak School is what's a cultural program, and the method that we use is called total physical response. The cultural program, we teach singing, we teach dancing, we teach history through the songs and the dances, we teach legends, we teach junior kindergarten, which is 3, 4 years old to 13 years old. Within the 10-month time that they're at school is we start off, I'll talk about the singing and dancing program, is we kind of choose which dance that they're going to learn and their capabilities to what they're going to learn. We sing the song first, get their hands used to the beat, and then we send them out on the dance floor. Our kids are very advanced, so there is no problem for them to go onto the dance floor and dance. To know what they're actually dancing and know what they're actually singing is very important too. And the beat. So what we concentrate on is watching their coordination with their hands, their coordination when they're dancing to the beat, and to help them build their spirits while they're dancing. With Kwakwala, because we run two different programs here. With Kwakwala, I have 2 rules, and the 2 rules are you need to try the best that you can, and you need to have fun and work together. I never ever correct the kids when they're speaking. I just allow them to speak freely, but if I say it properly, then they will begin to say it properly. And they really, really love this class. And actually, recently I took a little break only because I had to do the Christmas concert. Oh my God, they were so upset that we couldn't speak Kwakwala every day. And they were upset that they couldn't sing and dance because this is what they look forward to in their day. And we have really strong advanced students. The junior kindergarten class, they can sing our songs already, and it's really neat to see. The other strong class is our grade 6 and 7 class, and just have fun and empower one another, and in hopes that they're learning at the end. The dances that we choose for the students, we work towards this big cultural celebration that their parents can come and watch with their dancing. And it's a really big thing because it's like a mini potlatch. So it's teaching them how the dance order goes in the big house through from the highest ranking dance, and the kids just I have to say it, they like to perform, but they love to show their spirit to their families, and they really work hard for the end of the year programs. Long story short is I went to university, I studied linguistics. Like we were talking about before, I moved to California. I learned North American phonetic alphabet. I moved to California. I learned the International Phonetic Alphabet. I took some courses through UBC, and then I studied with a whole bunch of elders here in Alert Bay. And I worked like crazy on how to read, how to write, how to pronounce, doing my best to pick up methods. I knew that because I was trained by Auntie Audrey and my granny and Lorraine Hunt and Auntie Marion and Auntie Sandy, I knew what I wanted to do and wanted to be. And then this opportunity came up to go to Chief of Tom School, which is probably about 45 minutes from Kamloops at Chase, BC. And this awesome program was running, and this group of people from um, seashell were going, and I seen their posts on Facebook. They're like, "Oh, we're off to Chief of Tom School in a month. I can't wait. I can't wait to pick up this program." And so I was really nervy, and I horned in on their trip. And I wrote to one of them. I'm like, "Can you tell me a little bit more about this program?" Because I was supposed to go to UBC for the summer. And there's so many things that just wasn't working with the UBC thing. It was like you can move into this apartment, but you'd have to leave for 2 weeks because someone's coming home. Then you can move back in, and finding a babysitter is hard because Michael's a baby, and and anyway, so I horned in on this Seashell group, and I said, "I'll meet you guys in Seashell." I dropped Michael off to Lauren in Seashell. I took off with all these people I didn't know. Went to Chief of Tom for 2 weeks on my own, and I lived in the language nest. And when I met the people, there was probably 100 people in the room. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but they wanted to prove to us that this method worked. And they explained to us that we learn like we are babies. We need to learn like we're babies. We need to start from the bottom up. And you wouldn't ever, when we think about our own children, we would never ever throw a piece of paper at your baby and say, "Read this," and give them, like, even the letter. Like, if I gave you an A with a line under it, like, how do you pronounce that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So you would never ever do that to your baby. So anyway, I really like this program because how we learned through reading and writing. We learned through writing the words down and doing a lot of coloring. And, it wasn't ineffective because I'm this far because of that program. I just needed to find something that was going to help keep the language successful here in the community and to keep passing the torch down. So anyway, they went on to explain it that this man named James Asher created this program called Total Physical Response, and to teach your children, or teach language like everyone's a baby, to show them, like, say if I was going to show you a cup, and you kind of, not kind of, you show them the cup, and quats ta, dahi that's quats ta, was lots of quats ta gachen, achatu that's quats ta lahwa hamkit me. That's quats ta, like you really, really, so you hear that word over and over and over, and the child would be like, the baby would just be observing, because the baby can't talk. Mm-hmm. So then they just observe and they start to internalize it, and then eventually they'd be babbling, trying to say the word, because we're never ever going to stop using a quats ta, like a cup. Yeah. And eventually they start to babble about, using that word. And if your baby makes a mistake, you can go, "That's not how you say it." Like, you would never yell at your baby and tell them, mm-hmm. and be mean and break their spirit. So what's cool about the method is that you just allow them to make those 1,000 mistakes. And if you go, "That's right, quats ta," and then you correct them in a positive way, and it's less stress. Mm-hmm. And eventually their tongue will wrap around the part of the word, and they'll start to pronounce it better, and they'll get the accent better when they're speaking, and they just freely speak. And so with myself, and we were brought up in a generation or era where we were constantly corrected in a lot of things, which is like no problem. I mean, we all survived it. Mm-hmm. But we want to take a different approach towards learning and revitalizing and preserving the language. And Um, anyway, so the lady that was teaching me, Janice, Michelle, and Kathy, they're sisters. Their mother and father actually found this method at Chase, and their they would hold bingo in their language. They would call the community, and they would have language classes. And the mother and father of these two women, they started to train their daughters, and they would have maybe even, I don't know how long they've been doing this program for, but anyway, they really, really wanted to save their language. They knew how hard they knew how, they knew it was going to be challenging, but they thought they would just take the risk anyway, and they did it. And their daughters became fluent through this method. Mm-hmm. And now their daughters are traveling the world teaching this method. And so anyway, in the class, how they proved it to us was we had to learn their language. And it was so awesome to be part of it. So at first I was just kind of like, this is really stale, because they made us stand up, and they would tell us in their language to stand up, and they would tell us to walk, and we'd stop, and she was so dramatic, like, and my heart would just give her, because I'm so, I have high anxiety over little things like that. And it was out of my comfort zone to be bouncing around and crawling around on the floor and pretended to be Tina Turner, or, like, she would make us do the silliest things ever. Mm-hmm. Walk like a monkey, walk like a robot, walk like an Egyptian. Like, we had to do silly, silly stuff. So I went home that night, and I'm laying there, and all I can hear is her voice playing through my mind all night. All those words that she taught us during the day played through my mind. Mm-hmm. And the next day, she said, okay, Pee-wee, you're going to be first tomorrow. I want you to write a lesson, and you're going to be teaching us using the method I just taught you today. So I was so scared, because everyone went there with a language group, and I went there with my little dictionary. I was really, really determined to learn something, though. And so I took my dictionary and I started to write lessons. She gave us a template, and I didn't completely fail, but there was 3 people sitting there. It was kind of like American Idol. Mm-hmm. And they would tell me what I did wrong and what I need to work on. And this happened every day for about 30 days, maybe not that long, but it was for a long time, about 3 or 4 weeks of training with these people. And with that, we had to learn all these different languages too, because everyone needed to train with somebody. Mm-hmm. So all these language teachers were just training each other in how to make it an awesome program. And so I came home, worked with Lorraine Hunt, and I worked with Lorraine Hunt, and I would write the lesson all day. And I took the TPR book home with me, and I started to write all the words in, and the whole book's translated, because I worked like crazy. Every day I would do a new page with Lorraine Hunt. Mm-hmm. The challenge that we had at the beginning was I didn't have enough language in me to be able to, I didn't have enough language in me to be able to teach a lesson. So Lorraine would actually go, walk, stop, turn. And she had like no expression, because she didn't know the method and I didn't know language. So, oh my God, it was just crazy. So I would write the lesson. Lorraine would sit there. I would grab the paper, because I knew the method, and she would sit there and just correct me on the spot. And so that's how it started to be, where it started to just like be an everyday mm-hmm. thing. So I had started off with about 20 community members, went down to about 15, then 10, 5, and then 3. That was the end of the program. I had 3 very committed people who worked with me for 7 months and let me use them as guinea pigs and with the language. By the 7th month, we were all speaking. It was the neatest program. And we did the silliest things, and I would just Google my life away and trying to find games and find the silliest things to do and find that we were gonna, attempt to play. Sometimes I had failure classes. I would just keep note that I'm not ever gonna play that again. We would invite elders. We just had so much fun. So anyway, then Wayne Peterson approached me. He found out that the program was successful, asked me to come and work here at the school. And that's how I got my foot in the door.
Nice.
So I've been here with the students, and so with the method, it was more challenging teaching. It was more challenging at first teaching adults because adults have that fear already. They have the fear of making mistakes, and after you get past that, though, they let their guard down, right?
Yeah.
But with the children, they have no fear. They have no fear. They'll just say it. They'll learn. So back to what you originally said was, I created the program after I learned the method. I created this program where you just need to be willing to have fun with me. You come in here, you're not allowed to speak English though. So when you're in here, if you speak English, you do 20 sit-ups or push-ups with me now. Yeah, on the spot in front of everybody. We make all these cute little challenges. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, you're not allowed to say this, and if you do, then you owe me $2. I think starting off from history is very important in learning who you are and your identity. And they're all the teachings around it too. Like respect is the major one, and you probably hear everybody talking about respect, but it goes, of course, you know what respect means. Maya Hila. We already know what that means. It goes deeper than that, though. It is respect for the land, the water, the trees, the forest, each other. And yourself, taking care of yourself, carry yourself properly, respecting differences. We are all slightly different, the Kwakwaka'wakw people, but all Indigenous. We all have a culture, and we all connect with the ancestors. And I am a generation down from the residential school. My mom went to residential school, my granny went to residential school. So with that, I had no mom. I don't guilt her out about that. It was fine where it was. But it's a really big thing is that, the healing path that all our people are on is, it's hard. Like, how do you tell people to get over something? Like what Uncle Bobby Joe said in that one video, like, how do you get over something so traumatic? And for people to understand more is that is where our people come from. And I'm wondering if in this lifetime are people going to heal over it, and but not dwell either, so it's kind of a tricky one. But songs, so if you really think about our music is telling stories of your history. So songs that come from our families is talking about the history of our family. Dances and hand motions, we're mimicking other dances or connecting with the ancestors, so we're still very connected with our ancestors too. My vision is that more First Nations people start teaching our own Indigenous classes, and because we understand each other and we're respectful to each other. Um, that we all get educated and understand, and just to not forget who we are, and where you come from. Always go back home to where you're from. Keep on continuing to teach the history of our people so that there aren't these misrepresentations of our people out there. I think we need to start recording our elders and all the history that we have. You need a recorder. You need to just start writing and jotting and getting books out to start learning who you are. There are a lot of anthropologists that come to our communities and they jot down and they interpret the way they see us. And, and I'm really thankful for Franz Boas for coming here, Edward Curtis for coming here. We can have our own like that that records all of our information.